everybody, Kathy Syrett from the Confident Leader Journey here. By the way, just wanted to let you know that there is a webpage up, Welcome to the Confident Leader Journey. It has some links to the blogs and the vlogs and services that we offer. And it is, of course, at confidentleaderjourney.com. Now, most of you are finding us on Facebook, which is great. And one of the things you'll know is that I do regular vlogs and blogs on topics to do with leadership. So today's topic can be further explored by reviewing two classic books on performance management. And that's what we're going to look at today. We've looked a lot at some of the elements of diversity and inclusion recently, and I'd like you to bear those in your mind while we're looking at the topic of performance management. And the two books that are iconic in this area and will challenge your thinking significantly on what performance management looks like and the value of performance appraisals are, first of all, the classic by Tom Cohns and Mary Jenkins. Okay, and it's actually called Abolishing Performance Appraisals. For example, did you know that in 80% of cases, performance appraisal systems demotivate employees rather than motivating them and lead to a downgrade in performance? Isn't that interesting? I once did a whole presentation for organisations on 10 reasons why performance appraisals don't work. So this book looks at some of that information. And then the other book to explore is another classic from 1999. Yep, 30 years ago now. Aubrey Daniels, Bringing Out the Best in People. Okay, so let's look at these two and think about it. So performance appraisals are used in 80% of workplaces, and yet 90% of the organisations that use appraisal, both giving appraisals and receiving appraisals, are dissatisfied with the process. Okay, so the bottom line is that the process of performance appraisal frustrates most employees and managers that use it. Okay. Now, nobody's saying that we don't need a way of assessing the quality of our performance at work. Okay? Nobody is denying that knowing where you stand with regards to your performance at work is a bad thing, is a good thing, and having a plan for moving forwards. The challenge is almost all performance appraisal systems are tied to financial rewards, rather than being focused on the development of the person being appraised. Now, right in the original management theory looking at performance management, one of the basic core tenets of it is that development discussions need to be kept completely separate from financial discussions. And in fact, what you'll find most people arguing, especially Alfie Kohn, who also wrote Punished by Rewards, is that by tying a performance appraisal system to financial remuneration, you're actually changing the fundamental nature of it and you're turning it into a game. A game in the psychological sense, where people who play the game best are the ones rewarded, not the ones actually doing the best at their jobs. And you'll find that most of the discussions around performance management talk about having a pay rate for the role. And if the role's being performed, that's the pay rate. And bonuses being equally shared amongst all people who contributed to achieving the results that merited the bonuses. Now, if you think about it, this makes sense. If you start grading people on a 1 to 5 and then allocating financial rewards on that 1 to 5, who are the people who are going to be motivated by that? Well, research shows that it's fundamentally only the people who get the top score. So if you score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and only the 5s feel motivated, you've got 80% minimum of your employees and staff feeling a little bit demotivated by the whole process. Okay. The other element is it goes back to focusing people on external, extrinsic elements. And one of the things we talk about a lot in leadership is what gets measured gets managed. Okay, so if people know what the measures are that they're being appraised against, that's what they're going to focus on. and not necessarily on the other, more informal, less obvious elements that lead to top level performance. I mean, just give you an example. How can you measure how inclusive someone is in their work? How well they focus on the diversity, equality, and inclusion aspects of your company's policies? How can you measure how supportive and empathetic they are to their employees when they need it? Okay. Basically, the only thing performance appraisals look at are specific, narrow-focused behaviors or financial or number-based results. And if you think about it, that doesn't give you a complete picture of what someone's doing in their role. Okay. One of the other elements about performance appraisals is, can you guess who tends to not do well in these? Yep, people who are neurodivergent. Okay. In a performance appraisal, you're asking people to write about themselves. Could be an issue. You're asking people to come to a meeting where you have a discussion about it. Again, can be a problem. So anybody who's neurodivergent is going to find this distinctly different experience to people who might be neurotypical. But even then, think about it. The people who can talk themselves up will do better. The people who are more visible will do better. And so it's really hard to be fair and inclusive within the performance appraisal system. Now, so this leaves us with the question, how do you manage performance? Well, first of all, I'd like you to rethink your language. You're not managing performance. You're managing people who happen to be doing the job. So we're not managing performance. When we're in an organization, we're not managing the numbers. We are managing the people who produce those numbers. And that's where I recommend this second book, Bringing Out the Best in People. And one of the reasons is it's a real classic for going into the actual science of what motivates people. We know there's extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. So if you pay someone for doing well, you're rewarding them extrinsically. And what that creates is a mindset of a transactional relationship between performance and reward. That leads to challenges in that if they do the same thing again and don't get the reward, it can be demotivating. As a leader, what we're looking to develop are people who are intrinsically motivated to do well in their roles. Okay? So first of all, we need to define what well looks like. Okay? And different people are going to define that differently. Well isn't just the numbers. It's about how we interact with each other. It's about how we think. It's about how we manage ourselves, how we manage others, how we interact with the organizational boundaries. So having a clear understanding of what the role requires is a prerequisite for people being able to perform well in that role. Now, this is one of the challenges when we get to performance appraisal, because I have been into many companies in my role as a consultant, and the appraisal is not related to what is required to do well in that role. There's a lot of invisible elements there that are required for that. So one of the elements is, how can we actually make it a positively reinforcing and rewarding thing to do our job well? Now, for that, we need to understand human psychology. Obviously, yes, I'll clean the bathroom well if somebody pays me to do it. I'll probably clean it better if someone pays me to do it than if I'm just doing my own. Or will I? If I take pride in what I'm doing, I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to do an even better job. And I'm probably going to do things that aren't on the official list of what needs to be done. I'm going to think of other things. So if I'm being paid a transactional relationship for doing a role, I'm going to look at what those transactions are. I'm going to do them and expect my reward. If I take pride in what I'm doing, if I get an internal satisfaction from doing it well, that's when we really get the best performance. And that means finding some kind of positive internal reinforcement for people in doing their role. And you know what does that? In most cases, that's about the relationship between the leadership and the employees. If you have a leader who recognizes when you've done those things, who encourages you, enables you, and supports you to do that, and there's a culture in your group of taking pride in the work, that's when you get the best performance. And that's where the role of the leader is so critical. As a leader, you can't make people perform. You can't actually effectively measure people's performance. What you can do is create the environment where people can and want to perform at their best. As a leader, that culture is your responsibility. So what we'll probably do in future vlogs is we'll dig down into, well, how on earth do I do that? And if you've got any questions or any thoughts, comments on this, please pop them, go to the Facebook page and pop them on the posts that will come up on this topic. Until then, you can find us on the confidentleaderjourney.com online. You can find us at Confident Leader Journey page on Facebook. And of course, there's the group, the Confident Leader Journey community, where we can discuss and share ideas. I hope this vlog has given you some food for thought about managing people in a way that enables and empowers top level performance. Okay, take care and I'll see you soon.